Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We are getting to the point now where all of the Shedeur Sanders, New Orleans Saints conversation is getting so loud. I'm kind of at the point mentally where I'm just expecting this to happen now. And I'm going to be actually kind of disappointed if it doesn't happen now. I don't know if you've heard the latest, but all of the sports books, the odds makers, have updated their prop bet odds. And it's very difficult, by the way, just as before I don't, at the risk of bearing the lead, it's very difficult to find value in betting on the draft anymore because the information is so good, meaning all of the odds makers know. Like, they know going in what's more than likely going to happen. So it's not like the chance of what could happen in a game, right? You play a basketball game, a football game for 60 minutes, and you think you set your line, but sometimes you have blowouts. I mean, uncanny things happen in a game. This isn't that. It's not necessarily a game of chance. There is. It's like in the Super Bowl when you see prop bets on the national anthem. Well, whoever the artist is, they go practice the anthem for, however many times at the venue before they actually go sing it in the game. So they have someone in there, someone making popcorn or whatever, with a stopwatch, someone just standing outside of the stadium listening. So they know generally how long it's supposed to be. Like, there's an answer to the question already. So there's just not great value because that's what sets the odds. What's similar with the draft? They're going to play a game. It's just, what's the intel saying about what the team wants to do, and that's who's going to be written down on the card. It's like, well, we know Cam, is going to be the number one pick in this year's draft, Cam Ward. So anyway, both DraftKings and FanDuel on Monday updated their NFL draft prop bet odds, and both now have Shedeur Sanders as the favorite to land with the New Orleans Saints. Saints plus 300 to draft Shedeur. The Giants next at plus 350. The Steelers at plus 600. Browns at plus 650. Then a big drop-off. Jets, Raiders, Rams all at plus 1,000. So if you look at kind of how the top of the draft could very well play out, you got Tennessee at 1. Everyone's assuming they're going to take Cam Ward. With Cleveland at 2, that's likely going to be Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. That could be flipped on its head, depending on what player goes there. And it is widely assumed, because the Giants have signed both Russ and Jameis, that they're not going to take a quarterback at 3. Now, I'm not convinced of that, because we've seen plenty of examples throughout history of teams who are seemingly set at quarterback who draft a quarterback. It happened literally last year when the Atlanta Falcons guaranteed 9 figures to Kirk Cousins and went and drafted Michael Penix 8th overall. We could talk about all the examples in history of similar situations like that, where teams seemed set at quarterback and then took a quarterback in round 1. If it was Kansas City taking Patrick Mahomes when they had Alex Smith, you can go back, of course, to Aaron going to Green Bay when Favre was there, or Favre going to Green Bay. Like, there's always... Jordan Love going to Green Bay when Aaron was there. So there's always examples that can illustrate the counterpoint. But I keep looking at this, and a lot of the circumstantial evidence really does make sense. At Shedeur's Pro Day on Friday, Deion had this to say about the possibility of Shedeur playing with the Saints.
Coach, could you speak to the possibility of Shedeur being coached by Kellen Moore, who's coached Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, and recently?
Say it again.
Speak to the possibility of Shedeur being coached. Yes, sir.
The Saints?
Yes, sir.
I like the colors. I like the colors. I like the city. I like the food. I like the people. I like the possibilities.
Okay. Now, Deion has been pretty outspoken in saying he wasn't going to let Shedeur or Travis go to a spot he didn't want him to go to. And if we're being very honest with each other, from the Saints lens, there's not a lot for New Orleans to offer right now, okay? The roster is old, expensive. You're not close to winning. There's one team in the entire NFL that has worse odds to win the Super Bowl next year than you. That's Cleveland. And Cleveland is a joke. And it's a smelly city by a lake that catches on fire. Their main export is crippling depression. Look it up, kids. Shedeur was also asked at his pro day about the Saints, in particular, Kellen Moore. Here's what Shedeur said on Friday.
I think he's a great coach, and I also think I watched him a little bit in college. So we're so young. Like I didn't know that was that. So I know that's who he was in college. But then when I looked him up and did the research and all that, I'm like, dang, like he did everything I'm trying to accomplish. And so he knows the recipe, and a lot of people that play the position understand, that point of view versus just a different point of view versus like the sky or the sideline.
Now, Kellen Moore didn't do everything that Shedeur is trying to accomplish, because Kellen Moore was obviously the winningest college quarterback ever and did make it as a backup in the NFL, but he certainly wasn't a first-round pick, and he never became a franchise quarterback, which is what Shedeur is trying to do. For what it's worth, our guy Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net has his updated mock draft, which is available right now if you want to go check it out. And at number 9 overall, Ross Jackson has Shedeur Sanders going to the New Orleans Saints with the 9th pick. Interestingly enough, he also has the Saints taking C.J. West. If that name sounds familiar, remember C.J. West was the mid-major defensive lineman from Kent State who LSU was in on before 2023, who ended up going to Indiana. Passed on LSU, went to Indiana. And I guess 2024, this last season, when LSU was desperate for a defensive lineman last year in the portal. He ended up going to Indiana. And anyway, he's got Ross has C.J. West mocked to the Saints in round 3. That would be interesting on the D-line. I don't want to lose point of it, though. I think where I'm continuing to focus with the Shedeur conversation, first of all, like Vegas is acting based on not what they feel could happen. It's what information they have is directing will happen. That's number one. And number two, I'm looking at it through the lens of, do you use the 9th pick on a quarterback that's not going to necessarily help you win in 2025? And my answer to that has been, will continue to be, if you feel like that guy can be your franchise quarterback, then you take him. The Packers did this with Jordan Love. They also did it with Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, I hate to bring up a bad memory, but in the 2017 draft, the New Orleans Saints were going to take Patrick Mahomes 11th overall. The Chiefs jumped ahead of him one spot, took Mahomes, and we know the rest is history. He sat in 2017, and then his second year as a starter, he won a Super Bowl. I could talk about Aaron Rodgers, was drafted in 2005. He sat for 3 years in Green Bay behind Favre. Finally, they let Favre walk to the Jets. Aaron became the starter. Aaron became the starter. And in 2010, the guy wins a Super Bowl. Became one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. I actually think that it's good for a quarterback not to have to come in right away and be the guy in the NFL. Because generally, if you're first-round quarterback, you're going to a bad team. Generally. Not always, but generally speaking. Like Ben Roethlisberger went to a stable situation in Pittsburgh. But that's an outlier. That's an exception. The rule is you're Zach Wilson and you go to the Jets. You're Caleb Williams and you go to the Bears. So if Shedeur lands in New Orleans, I think Derek Carr getting his head kicked in for another year and Shedeur getting to watch and grow and develop and learn wouldn't be the worst thing for him. So I hate to say it this way, but you'll know what I mean when I say it. Like J.J. McCarthy being injured last year in Minnesota was probably a blessing. It's a great blessing for Sam Darnold as well, who is another illustration of this. A guy who went to the Jets and had to start right away, cratered with the Jets, went to Carolina, then went to San Francisco, landed at a good spot in Minnesota after getting to watch for a couple of years, and he was surrounded by Pro Bowl caliber talent, all pro talent like Justin Jefferson, and they win 14 games, man. So I think there is a great benefit to that scenario should it unfold. If the Saints take Sanders at 9, he sits and watches behind Carr for a year, you continue to get younger, more affordable, building your roster back, and then at some point, be it in 2026 or after that, then Shedeur Sanders takes the reins as your franchise quarterback. But it's an idea that I think If you haven't yet started to wrap your brain around and accept it as a very real possibility, you need to, because it's no longer just miscellaneous draft analyst putting out a mock draft or a fan running the mock draft predictor machine and spitting out a mock draft. Like, you have the odds makers now with the New Orleans Saints as the betting favorite to land Shedeur Sanders. It doesn't mean it's a lock, but it means it is a very real probability that Shedeur Sanders, while he'll switch his team name, he won't be switching team colors, because he could go from the black and gold of Colorado to the black and gold of the New Orleans Saints. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.